Good afternoon, everyone. It's great to have you here. Uh, I'll maybe quick intro. I think already covered, but I had a chance to work with very, very exciting brands throughout my career. Today, I work with Jubilant FoodWorks, if you know Domino's, as executive leader, part of the group and heading analytics. Before that, I worked to set up GCC for a clothing brand for women and girls. And also worked with a number of retail CPG clients as a consultant. So this experience of working as exec leader, as leader setting up GCC, as well as being client engagements, has helped me really share my learnings here. So before I talk about my experience, I will start with why as a first, as part of our DNA, what we do really. So we all know that data obviously is becoming more and more important. In the last 2 years, number of references your annual reports has increased by 30%. People are talking about more and more about data becoming important not only for organizations, but also for the board and for the investors. However, today only 1/4 of the top companies have officially appointed CXO for analytics. When I say CXO, it's a combination of, title could be anything really, Chief Data Officer, Chief Analytics Officer, Chief Data Science Officer, all those all combined really, only 1 in 4 companies have those. This is a fairly new role compared to other CXO roles. The first CDO was appointed in 2002. Since then, we have come a long way, but I still feel that there is a long way to go. But while we are getting more and more seats on the CXO table, only 1 in 4 of the CDOs report to CEOs. In fact, in the last 1 year, number of reporting has changed from other CXO members to non-exec members. So something definitely not working for this community as a whole. And this is a data claimed by all the analytics leaders. Only 40% of us feel that we are directly contributing to tangible top line, bottom line numbers. In a space where, in a boardroom where your share of voice is directly proportional to the size of your P&L, or so the impact you create. This is the one area which, as a community, as a analytics group, to think about what can we do differently. These roles are not very well understood, and typical tenure of the CDO tends to be around 2 years. That number is half the other CXO roles. So time we are getting to come, build the teams, deliver value is a lot less compared to other CXO roles. If that is the case, doesn't get any easier. The landscape continues to change very, very fast for CXOs. With the increased cost pressure, inflation, most CEOs want data and analytics to deliver impact, not just in long term, but short term as well. What's going to happen in the next 3 months since you joined? Jane and I, we all spoken about so much. Really, one topic which is picked up from boardrooms to school buses, that has changed and brought focus back on data and data strategy. Third one, I think we all know that tons of work we do, the use of data and analytics still continues to be a challenge within the organization, and building that culture still remains a top priority despite being in the industry for 30, 40 years as such. The norms around data protection continue to get more and more strengthened. So CEOs also have to focus on how do we protect and build this data. So with increased complexity of being in the forefront to deliver business value, changing landscape, what should we do? And I'll share some of my learnings as a part of my group journey so far to what has worked, and would love to hear your stories as well and learn on the way. So first of all, for us to really become the P&L function, the growth function, I call it a 10-20-70 principle. 10% of complexities are subject matter expertise. That is the data architecture, engineering, your analytics, your data science models. That's the 10% complexity. There are still challenges, obviously. We keep hearing that there's a number of POCs, can't be scaled, not part of priority, and so on and so forth. The next 20% complexity is the systems. I can write a model that can give me 100 different offers unique for each customer, but my CRM system can only configure 5. Right? I want to have a real-time inventory, but my inventory visibility right now is 50%. So a lot of these challenges are very, very tough before you can actually create any scale as such. 70% of what takes analytics to value essentially is people and change management. How do you get people to adopt change and build process around it? And today my focus is going to be a lot about the last two buckets, because first one anyways, you guys are the experts as such. So the first principle I'll talk about is this role of a CDO is very, very unknown. And a litmus test is if you ask your CXOs what is needed from a CDO as a function really, number of distinct responses you will get is 1.5 times number of CXOs. If there are 10 CXOs, you'll find 15 different expressions. Now it's very hard to deliver on the expectation, right? We spoke about this really. So it's our job to educate the organization how analytics works and make sure that we create a very, very strong program which continues to educate right from a CEO all the way up to the front office person to evaluate that. Secondly, I think everything has to start with top 3 priorities. Either it's delivering top line, bottom line, or customer experience. Every action has to lead to either of 3 really, else doesn't find a value on our agenda. We talk about in the marketing, media that works for us. There's always some media that is used for brand building, but most media essentially is a performance marketing to create an impact. Think about your capacity as same one. How much capacity is going to either of the 3 initiatives, which can be thought through. And having a very solid playbook, right from how the work is conceptualized, all the way up to value is created, is the key part of it. Second one, governance. We spoke about this. So the biggest challenge driving adoption is a culture. And weak link between the revenue impact we as a function create, not understood role and expectation leads to the problem of having not enough people. We want to drive, we want to move fast really, we don't have people really. And if you look at all the 3 things together, you will know why in some ways, right? At the same time, our relationships with CXOs are also very, very weak. Our best relationship today are with CTOs because that's where the data comes from. But our consumers, our COs, and our CEOs, in fact, the link with CEO is the least one. 1 in 4 CDOs talk about they have no relationship with CEO, and that's an area which we need to think about. So I'll have an answer for each of these roles and how do we really get there. With a CEO really, the best way is to create a council which runs this as a 2-year, 3-year program and pick up 2 or 3 big items which you can deliver. Today we have a council not only with CEO, with the board as well. As a company, we want to do these 5 things in the next 3 years, and with board running the governance really. So there's an agenda is top driven, and we are obviously, it means a lot of work on our end to show demonstrable value, but at least that gives us a top level visibility and what can be done and what we are doing as a part of the agenda. Second one obviously is a biggest effort has to go in driving adoption and change and realizing the value. And we need to go Hawkeye on building that as our skill. We look for that unicorn data scientist who knows all really, but look at our DRs, our DR -2, the biggest skill at that level, more than the analytics, is going to be the influencing skills. So thinking about strategy obviously will also work. With CFO, we build a forum in which every work that goes out, every value we report essentially is signed up by CFO. Not just by us really, but any part we are really involved. So the proof of value is not by me telling I've delivered great work, my CFO is telling real. And that's the way to provide this move forward. We spoke about the greatest difficulty being organizational movement. But if you look at where are our CDOs spending most time with, the most time is still going to 10%, which is our governance, our analytics and AI. Only half the CEOs are actually spending time in building the data culture. And that's a gap, again, which leads to eventually not having the same clarity as such. One thing that really works well is how do you get everyone to use the data? We are best placed to actually think about a causal analysis. For every function, for every role, we can very clearly define what actions they are taking. We can measure those, what leads to as an input parameter, and what leads to an outcome. As an example, marketing team spends money on a campaign that generates traffic that leads to a revenue. So lead with creating all the input-led template for every function and run those governance with every function to help, first of all, bring the right question on the table and enabling everybody with that data without having to worry about knowing anything about data really is the key to build that governance. Today in our company, we have a same template. Obviously, the KPIs can change. Similar template of saying, in your role, what are you responsible? If you take your action, what moves? If that moves, am I making more money, saving cost, or improving customer experience? Right from CEO all the way to store manager. And we enable that through data. And that is the way, obviously, combined with lot of training programs for entire organization. We are a big organization, 35,000 people organization really, to ensure that people understand data and they understand the link of why this is important becomes the key part of driving it. I'll spend next 1 minute talking about the technology, which is 20% of the part. So while we can build really fancy models, unless this is part of a tech roadmap, which are typically 2-year, 3-year-long roadmaps really, you cannot really build anything which can be scaled up. I give an example of personalization, right? Today I can really create unique offer for every customer knowing all the preferences. Much easy work for me. But for my product team, for my tech team to bring that information to the value is a lot bigger challenge. So working with that and influencing that roadmap through a ROI-based use cases is a key part of that. Same thing goes with my model can give me fantastic recommendations. Can my system consume it? Today, for example, I can accurately predict how much cheese the store needs tomorrow. But can my inventory management system consume that? If it can't consume really, model becomes useless, right? And that's where we have to work with those partners in building those relationships. Last part, I think 10% part, you guys are the expert really, and bigger ones, so I'll not talk about that. I would love to hear your story and what learnings you've had, both in terms of good and bad, and would love to meet up in case you want to reach out to me. You can reach out to me. And thank you so much for being a patient listener. I love talking to you.